Welcome everybody, this is How to English with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and source materials will be referenced where possible. Em!
Gav!
Welcome!
Hi! How you doing?
I'm doing very well. This is the latest episode of How to Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
Yeah, I like that you said latest and not last.
Oh.
Because that's a common error, isn't it?
Is it?
That I hear a lot, that maybe it's confusing because, you know, latest and last seem quite similar, but latest means most recent and last means the final one.
Is
because
it?
Today's topic, Gav, what's today's topic?
It's how to vocab.
How to vocabulary.
How to word.
Woohoo!
Hey.
So did you like how I did that?
You did that really well. I'm still thinking. I don't even think I know that. Is it last? I thought that's like you say that's the last one, as in
but
that's
it's
the
confusing.
most recent one.
No,
it's the latest.
It's actually wrong to say it's the last one because if you say it's the last one, it means there aren't going to
the
be any
final
more.
one. It's okay. Well, I'll have to remember that. I'm learning loads from these.
Yeah, see,
These
haven't
are
even
brilliant.
started yet, have we?
Well, we have.
Looks like we have. Now we have.
How to vocabulary is a topic that we're going to cover, and we're going to break it down for our listeners.
In what way we're breaking it down?
We're going to break it down by starting with what is vocabulary?
Oh, I hate you. It's
Words.
It's
You know what I do? I'm going to interrupt you already.
Yeah.
I say to my students, stop saying the word vocabulary, because they say, hey, teacher, what is the vocabulary for this?
Do they?
What's the vocabulary? And I don't know this vocabulary. And I say to them, typically, English speakers don't say the word vocabulary. It's actually just teachers and learners that say vocabulary and lexical groups and all of these peculiar words.
Unless you meet someone who speaks like they're a dictionary, and then you would perhaps say, well, that person had really good vocabulary, didn't they?
Yes, you probably wouldn't say they had great words. You're right. But typically you would say to somebody, what's the word for that? You wouldn't say what's the vocabulary.
And you'd probably say they had a good vocabulary, like a good countable vocabulary, which is weird because vocabulary is sort of uncountable usually, which leads me nicely. You see how I'm doing this?
This
I'm
is
setting
amazing.
it up, aren't I? Vocabulary is a lot of things. It's words, but it's also classifications of words.
Countable, uncountable.
You see where I was
Plurals.
going? Yeah.
Okay.
Plurals.
Singulars.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
So there's all sorts of names for them. We talked a bit about names last time, didn't we?
Did we?
Names for words like nouns, verbs, adjectives.
So
that's going to come up.
Got its own group of words, hasn't it, to connect with it?
I'm now starting to think we should have prepared this better.
Keep going.
No, you keep going because you were ready.
I was thinking also regular and irregular.
Verbs.
Is something we need to think about when teaching verbs.
Maybe we'll skim over it and pretend we've sort of spoken about it.
I think we're doing it logically. We're looking at different groups of words, so that's a good place to start.
Okay, words in the present and past and things like that. Okay,
they change. So conjugating verbs, for example, and making that focus of a lesson would be quite useful for students.
That is for the learner. If you're a learner, ask your teacher to teach you past verbs, for example. Did you say regular and irregular?
Yes, past verbs are in those two groups, which is tricky in English because, of course, there's a lot of regular verbs that finish with ed, like walked and worked and those kind of words. And then there are other words like, for example, Gav?
Irregular ones like bring, brought.
Yeah, good.
Or think, thought. Oh, I'm stuck on the ought words now.
Okay, well, you don't need to make a rhyme of it. But yeah, that's a good example. But I would say like those even trip you up a little bit.
Be, was.
All right, yeah, we get it. They can trip you up even on the regular ones, can't they? Because of the pronunciation of it.
Yes, and if you're speaker of some particular nations, you might have trouble with the ed sounds, like the id and kt. And
Give examples. We want examples.
I liked your walked
Yeah.
and decided.
Yeah. And then
I think there's a third one as well.
There's the softer d.
Oh, yeah.
Played.
So
there are rules for that. There are rules.
You've nailed that one.
And and it's important.
Past participles.
Which I mentioned. Regular,
You did.
irregular.
That's it. Past participles. The third form of the verbs. Because we've got present, past, and then the third form. So if you're using present perfect, for example.
Okay. But they also follow the same kind of
See,
regular,
saw,
irregular.
seen.
Yeah. We
Okay.
can just sit and list verbs if you want.
Probably do quite well with that one.
Go forever if you want. That's really something to think about when you're teaching a vocabulary lesson, I think. What are you focusing on? Because even when you're teaching grammar, there is a lot
learning.
Let me finish. Even when you're teaching grammar, there is a lot of vocabulary in that.
Or if you're learning grammar, there's a lot of vocabulary in that.
Yes, of course.
Make sure you've got the foundations. I think that's what Em's telling us.
Yeah, that is.
That's it, exactly. So before you try to jump ahead with just talking about the past, make sure you know those past verbs. And then again, if you're moving on to present perfect, make sure you know those past participles, the verb threes.
Yeah, so that's kind of nicely leading on from last week's grammar episode.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, vocabulary is a huge, huge topic.
It is.
And so teaching just a vocabulary lesson would be a group of words. And a lot of the time, like going back to the very first couple of episodes, we discussed needs analysis when students just say, I want to learn vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
What do they mean, Gav, when they say that?
I think they mean they want to have a broader vocabulary.
Yeah, which is very general for a teacher,
it's really
isn't it?
hard to know what that means. So you need to see if the student is focused more on a business, if they've got business needs, or if they're talking about going to a wedding. Do you remember we talked about weddings?
The infamous wedding lesson.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the red wedding lesson. And then they need to talk about brides and grooms and, you know...
Can we get away from weddings again? Yeah, you're right.
Bunch of flowers.
Sure.
That came up today.
So getting back to it, we need to think about whether it's relevant for the student and the teacher. And even when you do hit on a relevant topic, you need to be very aware of whether those words are still used or whether they're useful words.
Yep.
I can't think of good examples, but, you know, there's always some exercises in books that just you think, I'm never going to need to know.
Yeah, technology. Those books,
Exactly.
those pages go out of date very quickly. The exercises, teaching cassette tape and floppy disks.
Exactly. Good
Monitors
example.
the size of, I don't know, a cardboard box.
That's right. And so look at the date of the book.
Or just look at the book.
Just look at the book.
Then you can
But
decide for yourself.
I think even with things that are quite general, like sports, you think, well, what can be wrong with sports? They don't change much.
Yeah.
But then I also think how important is it for someone to know the word shuttlecock if they don't play badminton? Mm-hmm. It's really
It doesn't come up very often.
Not really.
No.
So it's always there, isn't it, in books? And, you know, the students quite like it because it's a funny word and it sounds nice. But is it important?
Coming back to the student,
Let's do that.
I think, like you said earlier, just tell the teacher exactly what it is you want to learn English for. What do you need these words to be for? If it is for that event, that special event you're going to, you need to know all those words. Or if it's something in your job, you need to be able to describe, you know, for example, describing graphs or describing something in a presentation, then it's very specific language that your teacher can teach you. So you need to ask them to teach you that.
Okay.
Dramatic increases, plummeting, present perfect. We have seen a rise in the sale of face masks, something like that.
Topical.
Yeah. Antibacterial gel.
Yeah.
Back to you.
As a teacher, you've got your word group.
Yeah.
You've decided.
And I think we mentioned that before. You sit down, make a big list. I remember preparing a lesson that came up in that podcast. Mm-hmm. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so you've got your list. Well, I'm going to come back to you, I'm afraid. Like, how do you get the students to remember the words? How do you present it in a way
You've got to teach it first.
All right, okay, let's do that first. Let's talk about how you teach it. How do you teach it, Gav?
How do I teach vocab? That's a good question. I would think of a context. We have a nice topic, start the conversation. Hey guys, people, folks, have you had this experience? Have you ever done this? Have you been there? What's happening at the moment? And then see if you can guide the conversation to the topic that would relate to the vocabulary that you've already prepared. I don't know why you've prepared it. You've obviously got some reason for it. Maybe it's a current event, a current affair, something that's really topical, and you think this would be really useful to teach the students because they might see this in the newspaper, or it might be a topic that they can talk to their colleagues about in English.
Yeah, I think we've established you pick the topic according to what the student wants. The student says what they want, and you've got those words.
Elicitation.
All right, yeah. So I liked your idea. Elicit them first.
Yes.
Whether you do it by conversation or a picture or something.
Elicit means that your teacher's going to ask you to tell them the words. They're not going to just give them to you. You don't get it for free.
No, there's a lot of fun ways of presenting vocabulary. I think you can do it as a matching definition.
Is it called Pelmanism? And you get some cards, and they have to match cards with the meanings or similar words.
You can do it like that, like pairs, Pelmanism, where they have to remember, which is good because I never really understood Pelmanism, what the point of it was, but I think it's the repetition of the words, constantly turning them over, knowing what the meaning is, and eventually by the end of the game, they've really remembered them.
Yes.
Which is really effective.
And that's
unless
very
they've got a fantastic memory, and then it's over very quickly.
Very good for visual learners, perhaps.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do the memory version of that, you can just give the students both word and definition, and they match them together. And then any that they don't know, they have to ask each other, and you give them that answer.
There's
at the
plenty of exercises where you choose the right word, you match the words, you fill the gap.
Yeah, well, I think that's just like what I've said at the beginning was an extension of that kind of line. Draw the line, or like as in what A goes with F, and it's that matching exercise, which
it's more likely that A goes with a number.
You're right. I'm sorry. A goes with 3 or whatever.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day. So there's all these versions of matching you can do. That's not just a piece of paper with a drawing a line.
Oh yeah,
across
definitely.
the page.
That's what I say to teachers: cut it up.
Yeah,
cut it up.
Cut it up.
Expand it. Cut it up. Stick it on the table.
Make it
mix
a race
it up,
if you want.
Turn it upside down.
They can be grabbing bits of paper from each other.
Stick it on the wall.
Whatever.
Put it on someone's back, forehead.
So it's all of those ideas. I've done it in a way that means you tell a story and you pretend fake.
You, the teacher?
The teacher
Nice.
fakes forgetting the word. Like, I was at a really nice... what's that place where you go to eat something?
Restaurant.
I was at a really nice restaurant the other day, and the waiter gave me the thing with the paper and the food on it.
Menu.
The menu. And it's, you can really play
I like
around.
the reinforcing click with each one of those.
Yeah.
That was really that was really effective.
The click. I don't usually do the click, but that really is
Clicks
nice.
work well with podcasts. I like it.
It's a nice way of engaging people. I think the students quite like that, so that's a good one.
I really like that because I felt like I was really I'm actually on the edge of my chair trying to give you the answers.
Helping me. It's like you want to help me, isn't it?
That's true, and that's a big part of learning. It's helping each other.
Yeah, and of course, if the students don't know the word, then you have to just write it somewhere.
Yes. You said running.
Running. I think
like running around. No, you said. You said something about games. I'm just picturing people running back and forth to the boards. Oh, you can do what's it when you stand in a queue? You make a line.
Board race.
That's it. How does a board race work?
You then, I think, give a topic, like you say, sports.
So you, the teacher, writes
the teacher. You have 2 teams. You have a topic, and the students run to the board with a pen and
I like that.
Write as many as they can. But
taking turns,
giving the pen to the next person.
And you said they've got a speed limit, a time limit.
Yeah, and probably a speed limit.
I've seen a few accidents.
It's good, but they do tend to copy each other's lists. So you could give perhaps different topics or different themes.
Oh, right. Okay. So you can think of, okay. That's nice. If you were doing sports, one team doing team sports and the other doing individual sports. It literally just came to me.
That is nice.
To be creative from the teacher's point of view.
Yeah, think a bit outside the box. Gav, would you like a tea?
I only drink coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that could be arranged.
Oh?
follow us. If you enjoy listening, watching, or reading Gav and Em's How to English Pod, visit coffee.com/howtoenglishpod.
That's coffee, ko-fi.com/how-to-English-pod. And it would be lovely if you bought us a tea or a coffee to show us support. You could even get a mention on our show if you'd like.
We didn't really mention, and we should, that you don't have to have a definition written down. You can have a picture instead. So the students are matching the definition to the picture.
Okay, or the word to the
word
picture.
To the picture.
That's even better.
The word to the picture.
Maybe making their own definition. Because then, like, you make it sort of real. So they've done some kind of activity. They've identified that's a shuttlecock, as you said earlier. And then they have to describe the sport that it goes with. Also, it fits really well with rules. And then I think we're moving into modal verbs. I know we're getting a bit, we shouldn't do grammar, but...
No, don't go there.
Was it grammar last week?
We did grammar last week.
But I'm just saying, just in case, you can then say, oh, so what are the rules for this? And they have to sort of break it down.
I like that. You don't have to just do one thing.
No.
Integrate everything.
I try and have a few things going on. Yeah, like you said, make sure they know the past of verbs. So if it's to play football, to do yoga, you make sure they also know the words that go with it, not just the sport on its own.
Yeah, context.
Because often they say to you, I really like doing football, and then you realise, oh, I forgot to teach the verb to play football.
Yeah,
It goes with it.
Which
really
is
important.
still vocabulary, though, I'd say.
Exactly, yeah. We're still in vocabulary.
Yeah,
this
I
whole
thought
episode's
you jumped
about...
back to grammar, but the
whole episode's about
You jumped back to
vocabulary.
vocabulary without even telling me.
I know.
Now we're back there.
I'm nimble.
You are very agile.
Okay, so you've already suggested loads of really good ways of presenting language for the students to do some activities. Should we think more about what the student can do on their own without
Later, I think maybe.
I'll come back in a minute.
I'm still thinking of presenting it, and now I'm thinking about how the students practice it, because you've elicited or you've given them it and you've given them the matching. Of course, they can have a conversation using them. There's other good games like Taboo. Do you know Taboo, Gav?
Taboo is when you can't use certain words to describe something.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be testing that they know the word meaning.
So the teacher might prepare a little card and I can't remember.
Words that can't be said when they're giving a definition.
So there's like a word at the
So
top.
there'd
like
be the word shuttlecock on a piece
Shuttlecock,
of
yeah.
paper, and then you couldn't say badminton, racket, or feathers.
Okay.
And so then the students, depending on the level, the students would have to say it's used in a sport that is similar to tennis, but it's not with a ball or something like that.
It's on a court and not grass.
So
usually.
it's quite nice for students to
That is good. But you're right, that's slightly higher because the lower level students would probably need those words.
Well, alternatively, you can use them with lower level so that they can use those words, or they must use those words.
So there's tips.
Yes,
There's
little
hints
helps,
to help them.
Help for
Okay.
you. So there's that game. What's Pictionary, Gav?
Pictionary is where the student has to draw the word and then the others have to guess.
That's good, isn't it?
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
All right.
exactly it. Yeah.
That sounds brilliant. I like that. And not only for just words, it could be for a sentence.
Yeah.
Are we going to include phrasal verbs and prepositions and stuff?
Not sure we've got time, but
Okay.
maybe.
But didn't I try and do that last time and you said that's for vocab? So I should probably mention it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even in Pictionary, because in Pictionary we're thinking, I just want to draw I'm not going to a shuttlecock. And that's really simple. Like you just draw this sort of triangle thing. But what if they said to play badminton, and then you've got to depict in a picture, not a painting, by the way.
Yes.
Painting would be with brush and paint, but
That's
with
right.
a pencil or pen. And you could actually try to construct a sentence in a picture, and then the students have to guess the sentence, including
that.
prepositions, which are awfully difficult in English.
That is very good practice.
Yeah.
And maybe my least favourite would be the miming idea, but which is still
They
has
love
its
it.
place.
They love it.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah, a bit of role play, miming.
Role play.
Well, it's kind of role playing. All right, no, it's just miming.
It's mime. Yeah.
So miming would be if the sentence that the other students need to guess is happy birthday to me, then they do like a little improvisation of their birthday with their little birthday hat, and they're blowing out the candles, and all the other students have to guess that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So maybe now we can move on to remembering it.
Yeah, I still should mention phrasal verbs a little bit more.
What do you want to say about phrasal verbs?
Well, just they're very important. And I also need to mention prepositions because they're really important. They're really difficult. Like dependent prepositions. Look forward to, depend on, rely on, For example, they're really hard to remember.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm really sorry, students, but there's no simple way to learn them. You've just got to learn them separately.
So,
I tell you what, my best tip for most students, just read. Read as much as possible because it's there. The grammar is already there for you. Just get used to it, learn it, practice it. Read as much as you can on as many different topics as possible. I'm talking really fast, aren't I? It's because I'm
really
trying to.
staring at me. I don't know why.
I wasn't staring at you. I was just looking out the window
It's intense.
of our recording booth.
Like you're very passionate about phrasal verbs and prepositions.
Okay. It's only because I'm going to finish in 4 minutes, so I need to get everything in.
Yeah.
So
what else do you want to get?
Phrasal verbs: stand up, sit down, run into. These still fit into your vocab lesson.
Yeah.
I do think they fit a bit in grammar, but actually I think
I've never said they're not. I totally think that they're vocab. They're not grammar. They're vocabulary.
No, I agree.
Okay, good.
So that's really good. I'm glad we've confirmed that we both think that. And there are so many other words and types of words that we haven't had time to mention. You said a good vocab book.
No, I didn't. Oh, I don't know. Well, there's Murphy, I think, vocabulary in use.
That's probably... Vince, vocabulary in use.
Is it?
Oh, no.
I
thought that's the one you mentioned last time.
I think that was something else.
But, okay.
All right, maybe
it's
I need to check my
news.
sources. Not sure.
It's a good thing nobody's sponsoring us for this, isn't it?
Just wanted to mention apps. So
yeah, I think you're right about vocabulary in use, yeah. Go on.
I was going to mention Quizlet.
Yes.
Which is really good for helping to remember.
Okay,
vocabulary.
Quizlet. So you can make your own little sets of words like flashcards, but also you can search in Quizlet because there's loads of people have already done it for you.
Yeah,
so you don't need to do it yourself.
I think we may have mentioned before, you just need to be a bit careful on the people you decide to
they're not always perfect,
they're
are they?
not always accurate, but usually they're quite good. Make your own flashcards if you're not really into
flashcards are brilliant, and the teacher should make them and bring them the next lesson and go back through them with the student. All the words that were tricky from the previous lesson, check them again. And students, make your own sets of flashcards, put them in your bedroom, put them on your fridge, put them on your cat, just everywhere. So you keep seeing them and eventually screw them up, put them in the bin and say, I've learnt that word.
Okay, if that helps. Just don't not use them.
Don't not use
them. That's
them.
a terrible sentence, but
do use them.
Use them. Just use them and recycle the language.
And re-recycle.
Oh,
don't
stop.
not use them and re-recycle.
I think you have to just keep coming back to the words.
You probably should.
Don't just think, I've learnt that. Like you said, I don't know about screw it up and throw it away. I think keep it in a drawer somewhere and then 3 months later try and remember if you have learnt it.
Okay.
I wouldn't throw it away. I'm sorry to disagree with you.
No, I like it. Disagreement's important. We shouldn't all be the same. And that's responsibility of both the teacher and the student.
Yeah, definitely.
To summarise?
Teach it well.
Yes. Learn it well.
Remember it well.
And come back to it. Revise it. Not re-revise it, but revise it.
Yeah. Use it. Definitely use it.
Yes. Make sure once you've learnt it, use it in context. Say to your teacher, this week I want to talk about sports.
Yeah.
And then use all the words and say to them, I really like American football. And then talk about yards. Talk about wingers. I don't know.
Yep.
Balls.
Use it. Use it or lose it.
That's it. And then if you lose it, then learn it again, exactly like you said. Mm-hmm. Unscrew those bits of paper, take them out of the bin, read them again.
Don't screw them up in the first place. Really don't.
No, you're right.
Maybe you should. I don't know. Bits of paper everywhere.
So there isn't just one way of doing it?
No, just Work it
This
out.
is the biggest sum up we've ever had, isn't it?
Work
It
out
just
what
keeps
works
going.
for you. Just
Okay.
work out what works for you.
All right.
I'm going.
Excellent. I think we've cleared that up. High five. And see you next time.
See you, Gav.
Well, what is it next time?
I have no idea.
We've done how to grammar. We've done how to...
Vocabulary.
So we've got how to...
Pronunciation.
how to pronunciation.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.